boys and girls. Today I wanted to talk to you about all the different kinds of lines there are. Now I haven't drawn all of them, but these are a basic starting point into our artwork. I'd like to take a moment and read this story called Lines That Wiggle. We're going to get introduced to a lot of different kinds of lines that artists use in their artwork and then make some artwork of our own. So the basic point about this project is learning about lines. I want you to get a piece of paper that looks kind of like this, although yours isn't filled out all the way. And it starts out with a really simple straight line, a curved line, a zigzag line, wavy, curly, bumpy, dashed, spiral, and then at the bottom you can invent any kind of line that you want. So go ahead and do this activity first so you have a different idea of different kinds of lines that you could use, just like we read about in Lines That Wiggle. Now, once you get finished with your lines, let's go ahead and get started on our artwork. Each of you are going to get a piece of paper that looks about this size. It's not real big, and it's going to be for the beginning of our artwork. When you get that piece of paper, I want you to draw 5 or 6 lines. Each of those lines should touch the edges of the paper. So it shouldn't start and then just stop if your paper goes all the way over here. Try to make it go all the way so that it touches 2 sides of your paper. So let's go ahead and I'll show you what I mean. Here's my piece of paper, and let's go ahead and make my first line a curly line. I'm going to make it curly, and I'm not going to stop until it reaches the other side. So can you see what that looks like? That's my first line. Now I need to draw about 4 or 5 more of those. Let's go ahead and continue. Some of your lines might intersect or go over each other. Here's a nice big zigzag line. So there's 3 lines. Let's do a bumpy line. There's 4. A curved line. This makes 5. And let's do one more. Maybe I'm going to repeat and just do another straight line. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I've got 6 lines. I better stop. Let's take a moment and talk about some non-examples, about some kinds of lines that I should not be doing. The kinds of lines I should not be doing look something like this. All of those lines are overlapping way too much. It looks like there's more than 6 lines on there, and they're really hard to find. It kind of looks like a scribbly mess. So this is a non-example. We don't want to do that. The other non-example is on the other side. Can you see how these lines start, but they don't make it all the way to the other side? We don't really want to do that either. When you're drawing your lines, try to draw them kind of like the zigzag that you see on the top. They start from one side and go all the way over to the other side. That's what we want to see. It should touch the edges, draw nice and big, and about 5 or 6 of them that do not cross and look messy. Okay, we want to be able to see your beautiful lines that you're drawing. Now, once you've drawn your lines, go ahead and show Mrs. Foxen. I want to check it over. Thanks. Okay, so once you've shown Mrs. Foxen all of your lines, then I want you to grab one of the black markers that you can find in your marker box. As you get your black markers, go over these lines with black. All of your lines should be drawn over in black. So let's go ahead and do that now. I'm going to go ahead and use my black, and I'm going to draw over top of all of my lines. I like that thick black line. Really is going to make all of my colors stand out by the time that I'm finished. Beautiful. Now, I want you to pretend that each of these lines are like fences. So when I start grabbing some colors, I am going to start to fill in. When I run into those lines, those black lines that I've just drawn over, I need to stop, and then I need to go around it like a fence. Something like this. Now you'll notice that I'm using the side of my marker to get the color put on. That's a fast and easy way to get color put on in a short amount of time. I'm going to go ahead and take my marker now and snap it. Did you hear that? Then I know it's closed. And I'm going to take another color. I like to switch my colors so that they're not all the same. Again, go around the black. It's like a fence, so it should not be gone over top of. And if I go over a little bit, that's okay, but I just want to try to stay away from it as much as I can. There we go. And again, put your markers on and listen for the snap. New color. Every time I go into a new section of this project, I want to go ahead and get a new color so that the variety of my colors. Okay, and the other thing that I would like to show you is I am using the sides of my marker. So there's a really sharp little tip on the top, but I'm going to be spending a long time coloring if I do this. And it's also very messy, yucky. Okay, use the side of your marker to get a lot of color put on in a short amount of time, and it also looks better. Okay, doesn't that look fantastic already? Again, snap the marker and listen for the snap. Good. Now if you go through all of your colors and you've used all of the colors up, where you're like, Mrs. Foxen, I've already used orange, or Mrs. Foxen, I've already used red. You might come to a point in this project where you have used all of the colors. And if that happens to you, that's totally fine. Just try not to have orange right next to orange. So if I use orange again, that's totally fine over here because my oranges aren't touching. I'm going to go ahead and try to use different colors in different sections so that they do not repeat. Okay, so when I go into yellow, again, I just don't want my colors to be touching each other. Just using the sides of the markers and letting it snap. Okay, now let's just go ahead, for example, and say Mrs. Foxen finished. So by the time that you're finished with your project, this is how beautiful they look. Isn't it gorgeous? There's little to no white on my whole entire page. There's lots of different colors that, yeah, we got some repeating, but it's really very colorful and very bright. It's a great way to take a look at all of the different kinds of lines and make a really cool abstract piece of artwork that's really fun to look at. I hope that you had fun making this project. I know I sure did. Thanks for watching and happy art making, everyone.